Welcome to the DevReady podcast. On today's episode of the DevReady podcast, I have Kara Zervides joining me.
Hi, Anthony. Nice to be here today.
Thanks for joining me today, Kara. I'll let you introduce yourself and your background and what you do, because there's no way I will do a good enough job of it.
Absolutely. I'm Cara Zervides, one of the co-founders of Humpday. Humpday is a one-day a week offline focused consumer freemium mobile app. We're a dating app. Essentially, the aim is to get people out in the real world connecting. We are here to minimize dating app fatigue and as part of a broader mission to end loneliness. We've been live since Feb this year, and it's been quite a journey. But before that, I have had quite a non-linear path to where I am today. I was a physio before all of this, working in the elite sports setting, and then took the big leap into the startup world. Worked on another dating app called Giddy before pivoting to what we now know as Humpday today. It's been quite the journey, but grateful to be here.
Well, it's quite a jump from being a physio to launching into a sort of like a tech startup with a real world growth there. What made you get started onto Giddy then? What was that first leap?
Yeah, so I guess like there was aspects of being a physio that I loved and aspects that I didn't enjoy. I guess for me, I loved the problem solving elements of being a physio, and definitely there's a lot of that in being a startup founder. But I guess I just had this burning itch to solve a problem that I really deeply cared about. I am a hopeless romantic and love more than anything in the world. And yeah, on the flip side, I've witnessed people that I really care about have a lot of struggles with dating apps, and it got me thinking, why is it that these really good people are being failed by conventional dating apps, and surely there has to be a better solution. And it's quite ironic when I think back at the age of 5, sadly, my parents divorced, and I distinctly remember at that time wanting one thing for my life, which was a long, happy, and healthy relationship. And it's amazing how life has a way of working out, and here I am on a mission to help the world achieve just that. It's been quite a journey. I initially started working on Giddy on the side whilst I was working as a physio still, and did a lot of sort of personal and professional upskilling to grow and before I sort of took the leap full time. It's been amazing.
It's quite the journey then. I can understand how the problem solving aspect is definitely a parallel to being a startup founder, because all day long all you're doing is either putting out fires or trying to solve problems.
Yeah,
It's
literally. It's a roller
that's
coaster.
the challenging part. Yeah, yeah. People don't generally talk about that. They only hear about startups when they become an overnight success, not
hmm
the entire journey that normally everyone goes through. So that's why it's great to share these sort of stories like this on the podcast. So
Yeah.
with starting on the side, what was your gate to say, all right, I'm now committing to this full time? Was it a
Mm.
salary thing where you sort of matched what you were earning, or was it when you saw growth?
Yeah. So I worked on Giddy for a year whilst I was still working as a physio, and I learnt a lot about like the problem space. And I guess the more I learned, the more passionate I became, and I realized like this is something that I really want to devote my career to. But it all became very real when I was accepted into Antler's accelerator. So for people that don't know, Antler is a venture capital firm that run an early stage founder program essentially. They have thousands of applicants. I was one of 100 that was accepted, and it felt like this is really my big chance to try and make this into a reality. Upon joining Antler's Accelerator, that's when I went full time and all in on Giddy at the time. Was fortunate to meet my co-founder Charlotte external to Antler, and so together we went through the Antler program together and pivoted Giddy into what Hump Day is now today. I guess through Antler, we were fortunate to learn a lot, but also receive investment, which really turned our big dream into a reality, and it gave us both the opportunity to go full time.
Okay, so yeah, I was just going to ask. So they put an investment in as part of being accepted into the program to help you make the most of your time there and get to that next level.
Not all companies will receive investment, but a handful will receive investment at the end of the program, and yeah, we were fortunate to have that. That was June last year, and so that's given us a lot of momentum to build Hump Day, we launched it in Feb this year, which was really exciting.
Yeah, and it is a unique idea. So from when I was looking on the website and trying to understand what Hump Day was, it was no swiping. So it's automatically get recommendations sent to you. So it's more of an active system than a passive thing. And
Hmm.
I'm guessing your secret sauce is going to be algorithm that does that matching and recommendations based on the whole profile of the person rather than just the first picture you see of someone.
Yeah, correct. So I guess like top line Humpday, yeah, it's a 1 day a week offline focused dating app. So we have three key pillars at our core. So one being scarcity. So by that I mean we limit the number of matches. We don't have swiping, as you said. Instead, we send users their most compatible match each day of the week. Compatibility is our second pillar. So we've worked with psychologists and researchers to develop a defensible matching algorithm that will only become stronger in time. And then lastly, offline or in real life. So we're purpose built to get people out in the real world. As our name suggests, Humpday, we host events on Wednesday, and we partner with some amazing venues across Australia as well to put on some really unique Humpday referred dates as well. So yeah, it's a highly sort of curated offline focused approach that creates this real sense of scarcity to get and urgency to get people dating quicker.
Yeah, it's a very different approach to all the other sort of dating systems that I've never had any experience with them. I've been out of that game for a long time. I met my wife almost 20 years ago now. But I can understand how there is a challenge and there is some people do have an urgency to try and meet people. So you're solving a real problem there. How have you found the feedback from your users or them understanding how you're approaching this?
Yeah, I think as a whole, like our users are finding it quite refreshing. So our target audience are millennials. So if millennials have really grown up or dated through the online dating era. So if you're still on dating apps by now, you're incredibly fatigued and exhausted by them. And so really longing for alternative solution. It's quite scary, the stats when it comes to online dating. So dating app dissatisfaction is higher than any other consumer facing industry. And 95% of Gen Z and millennials would prefer to meet their partner in real life than online, but they don't know how. So that's really where we come in. We're the intersection of offline and online dating that consumers are looking for. But yeah, it's been really exciting to see our user base grow. We've been growing 30% month on month. Our what's
Oh,
been
wow.
great to see is with our matching efficiency rates and our dating conversion rates. So the people that are moving from app out onto an event or a date are 10 times what we're seeing on other dating apps. So we've got some really good early signs to show that our solution is something that is resonating with people, but it's also achieving what we set out for it to do.
And that's great to see as the founder, seeing that what you're actually putting in, the decisions you've made are actually working and you're seeing those numbers come through and you're actually
Mm.
connecting people and you're giving them happiness and joy and hopefully starting a whole new life together with whoever they're matching with. So I'm sure
Yeah,
that probably brings great joy to you to see those numbers working because of what it actually means behind the scenes.
absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's really sad. A lot of the incumbents that are out there, the models that they have in place are really designed to keep people on dating apps, and so sadly, we're seeing research where swipe-based dating apps are, causing reduced self-esteem. They're increasing sort of this fear of being single. The negative effects in terms of depression and anxiety, and they're not actually leading to better outcomes when it comes to people actually getting out and dating. So we're sort of really saddened by that, and then on top of that, we're in this loneliness epidemic. We're seeing like 1 in 3 millennials experiencing loneliness, and the World Health Organization has come out and reported it as a global priority. So when we get the chance to actually like we attend all of our events, and when I get the chance to actually chat to our community and see the gratitude that they have for this solution that we're building, that's allowing them to not just meet the love of their life, but also connect with like-minded singles at an event and feel like they're really part of a community. At the end of the day, that's like really at the source of our why, and that's what motivates us to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and having that clear mission is the
Yeah,
reason you do what you do, and
correct.
it's very altruistic that what you have there as well is which is trying to bring joy to people and help them connect with other people, which all the other dating apps probably it's their sole focus to make money is to keep you in the app, paying the month to
Mm.
month fees or whatever it may be. It's not a high turnover, so I'm
Mhm.
not sure how you're sort of approaching that version of like the monetary model, the monetization model.
Yeah.
But what how do you sort of differentiate from that with the existing competition?
Yeah, so to date, we've been generating revenue through our events and affiliate referral fees. So our affiliate fees are quite a unique commercialization opportunity for us. It's a B2C to B opportunity where we partner with venues or hospitality groups and basically get a clip of the bar spend or a clip of the date for referring people to these premises. So that's a unique opportunity that we get beyond other dating apps. And I guess for us, we're also thinking about retention in a really positive way. We're not a dating app that wants people to be on Humpday forever, but at the same time, we're thinking about, well, how can we provide value to our users, long beyond the match? So for us, how can we be there and, offer them sort of curated dates or events through their dating and their early relationship life cycle so that we can be providing them value and I guess really staying true to our USP, but at the same time being able to monetize consumers and venues through that period and potentially see a higher lifetime period than what you might see on another dating app. So I guess that's how we're thinking about retention. But yeah, we're generating revenue through events at the moment, but that's not our end game. We have a big goal of being a tech company, not an events company. We want to reach venture scale. And so we will be leaning more into those online revenue streams, such as our subscriptions, as our main source of revenue as we mature as a company.
Yeah. I think, not being in the industry, but the events it's a nice differentiator that you have there. And having that as an option to monetize is very different than what the competition would be doing.
Yeah.
I
correct.
mentioned very general knowledge I have in this area, but sorry, I was going to say, so what you've said there is you've seen a hole in the market. There's dissatisfaction with the current competition that's there. They're all just doing the same thing. You found a way to be different and differentiate from them by sort of twisting the model, because everyone Tinder came out and everyone's all right, now swiping is the new thing, that's the only way you're going to do it. And you've gone against that model. So, all right, how do we actually provide better value and not just base it solely on an image? And then you've twisted sort of the subscription model and moved it to that affiliate marketing almost and referral fees by having the actual real life events in there. And that's a very interesting way to look at an existing market and see a problem, but provide a solution that's not a Me Too solution. So you've had a very unique approach there, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like, well, obviously it's a busy market, so you need to obviously take a bold approach to stand out. And so that's approach we're taking across everything we do. Like from our name's pretty intentionally tongue-in-cheek and memorable. Our marketing, our concept, our revenue generating stream. So it's sort of intentional through the whole product. But I guess for our events, you're right. I mean, for us, they're revenue generating, but they've also been a tool that we've used to validate Humpday long before we even had an app. They were a tool to sort of validate the problem space and our solution. But they've also been an incredible marketing tactic because they encourage word of mouth referral. A lot of people bring a friend. So it's been this, revenue generating marketing tactic that's allowed us to grow our user base in a really cost effective way.
Yeah. And that it does provide you with a way to scale as well globally, because then you can just partner with events or organizations or promoters for certain venues who can then help you scale in other locations without you having to be there and run it. So it's a unique position you've got yourself in there.
The importance of community and, in building their brand. And so for us, it's been like this intentional, how can we create this offline hook, which is bringing people into the app. So we're building this offline community concurrently to our online community has been really important to us as growing in a scalable way.
Yeah, because they're normally two silos. It's offline or online. You don't really mix the two together. This is a unique way to get people online during their workday, and then at a certain time, all right, let's go and put together and see if we can make something happen. So being a non-tech founder, as what I've put together through this conversation, how did you get about starting from when you started with Giddy to think, all right, this has to be an app, and then how did you go about getting the whole ball rolling?
Yeah. So I guess early days, I had no idea what I was doing. So it was about leveraging the knowledge and expertise of people around me. So I very naively started working with a Australian design agency, essentially putting together designs for Giddy. And I mean, I did a lot wrong in that first year, and I think that's been a big learning point is how can I become more efficient and laser focused when I'm building and testing. But I think in that first year I sort of worked with an agency, and I was very fortunate to I guess have lucked out in picking the right one, and they actually were the ones that introduced me to Antler and became quite like the first foundation of my network into the startup community. And so, yeah, working with them, I was able to build out a sort of a early prototype that I was able to test with my first community. But it was a lot of just me learning as I was going, a lot of desktop research, speaking to friends that are in the space already, and basically just asking for intros to people that might be able to help. Um, but really, it was when
Yep.
I joined Antler, I think that was like the real turning point where, yeah, I suddenly had access to a range of investors, advisors, and founders that had, been through it before. And yeah, so really just made the most of that opportunity to be able to leverage their knowledge base. And that's been something I've continued today. I mean, I'm now like 3 years down the track, but I am very big on just speaking to, there's always someone who's done it before you. So, almost every day I'd be having a chat to a founder or an advisor or an investor. And sometimes that's just cold outreach on LinkedIn. Sometimes it's an intro to someone else. I mean, I'll pretty much always finish a conversation asking, is there someone you think it's worth me speaking to? So I think just through learning through people that have gone before me, that's really put me in good stead to where I am today. Yeah, and then I was fortunate to meet my co-founder Charlotte. She brings incredible marketing and PR expertise. She's worked with the likes of Snapchat and Red Balloon, so she's been an incredible asset to Humpday. And then, as well as that, we've had a CTO, Pratik, who's been with us since day dot. So he's been able to help us to sort of bridge the gap between us and our developers. So yeah, I guess it's just about like knowing where your strengths and weaknesses lie and finding people that can complement that, and then people around you who can support you and sort of teach you from their mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, and their lessons just in general for business, let alone a startup as a founder. It's yeah,
Mm,
you surround yourself with people who know and have gone through things before. Because it's
yeah,
from my experience, it's people can tell you things, but unless they've gone through that specific journey, they're not going to know the nuance or the detail or be able to explain their path or their solution in a way that'll make sense to you because they won't know the same pain points. So yeah, talking to VCs, investors, other founders, and understanding. All right, I'm up at this point. You've gone through these points. What was it about? What happened? How do I go about it all? And just trying to understand what those parallels may be, so you can try and get a step ahead. Is always going to be
mhm.
the better way to move forward because you can't do it all on your own.
No, 100%. And what I've found is that people are like everyone that's been a founder knows how hard it is, and so people are really willing to help. That's been my approach, what I've found anyway. And so there's been no shortage of people that have been willing to be in my corner. I think at the same time, like you have to be, yeah, really sort of appreciative and aware of how busy they are in their time as well. So, being coming to those meetings prepared, having like a clear ask that you want of them is important. So it's you're not, yeah, wasting their time as well, and also being willing to give back. So I've gone back and spoken to Antler. Got some opportunities to speak to some up and coming students at universities. So I think, yeah, as much as like those people are willing to help you, it's nice if you can also return the favor and give back to the startup ecosystem, and that's how together we're all going to grow, I guess.
Yeah, it's a community, not just that you have to foster for your business or your startup. It's also the who you surround yourself with to help you drive forward, and you'll get to a point where you'll have to make a very important decision. Do you turn left or do you turn right, and which direction do you take the business? And you'll need feedback from people, not just to help you. Not they won't tell you what decision to make, but they'll just give you enough information so you can try and make the best decision you can make.
100%.
Going back to where you started 3 years ago, you said you picked a design agency. From the sounds of it, you've picked a good one straight off the bat. What sort of criteria were you looking at when you're doing that? Because we've heard of a lot of disaster stories where we tend to call them rescue projects, where people come back to us because they've been burned by other people several times.
Yeah, I didn't do nearly as much DD as I should have, and I think luck was on my side. But I guess I did, I looked at reviews, I did speak to some founders that they'd worked with. So I think that's like the ultimate. If you can speak to founders and they've had a
Yeah,
positive experience, that's definitely beneficial. But yeah, I probably like naively jumped into it. But now I would definitely be doing a bit more DD. I would be, yeah, getting sort of chatting to if it is an agency or a developer, whoever it is, I would be, yeah, getting sort of multiple candidates, references. I would be definitely cross-checking with someone. I'm of a non-tech background. I'll definitely be having someone with a sort of more tech expertise that can help assess their suitability. because you just don't know what you don't know. I mean, a lot of founders jump into sort of
Yeah,
building potentially with a language or a code that isn't scalable, or so I think if you can yeah, have someone with a tech background in your corner to help you make those correct decisions early, that's important. But yeah, I guess it comes down to what they've built before. Your budget as well is also going to impact what you're
yeah,
going to do, and I guess thinking about what you need now, but I guess, yeah, why you're building. What's the intention? Are you building for something now? Is it just a quick, lean, cheap MVP to test, and validate, or is it something that you want to grow with you, and be able to maintain like a scalable, large community? So I think thinking about like your short term and long term goals is really important before you make any decisions.
yeah. It definitely is. You have to consider where you want it to go, and then are you willing to, like you said, build that MVP and then throw it away with what you've learned and start the next version. The only difference I'll have is I'll caveat from our perspective as the agency who is trying to get work and work with a client. It's we as Arion, we do not jump into development straight away. We plan
Mhm.
and go through the whole product and understand where you're trying to go first. So we purposely slow down people to speed them up, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people jump into development too quickly and then they have to go back 2, 3 steps and start again. And sometimes they have to do that a few times because they keep repeating the same problem. So it's really, along with that, it's being able to get along with the people you're working with. You're choosing to work
Mhm.
with an agency or a group of people. You have to be able to get along, be able to communicate, because it's not just an email you're sending. You're going to be talking to these people daily, hourly, working through things, understanding, sitting in workshops for hours at a time. They have to support you, and you have to be able to have that working relationship with them.
Yeah, 100%. That's yeah, super important. I mean, making sure that they're a cultural fit is that you're right. That's probably something a miss from my answer. That's probably number one. There is they're going to be someone who's building and executing your big dream. So you want to make sure that there's someone that you can
Yep.
trust and that you get along with. So yeah, that's crucial.
Yeah, from your end, you'd probably want Humpday. If it can suggest them as a match, you'd be good to go.
That's it. Yeah.
So, along this short journey that you've had, where you've gotten to a point where everything's working, and you've tested the different models, and you sort of know your path forward, have you had any sort of key mistakes or key learnings you'd be willing to share about something that happened, and you're like, all right, this was a pivot, or we learned not to do something from?
Yeah, I think it probably comes back to yeah, probably it probably most comes back to knowing how to be really like sort of laser focused, and being able to test and learn quickly. So I think like that's important in terms of staying lean, not only to minimize your burn, but also to being like really laser focused so that you're efficiently prioritizing like growth above all else. So that can be in anything that you're doing. It could be in the product, it could be in your user acquisition, it could be when you're monetizing. So examples for Humpday, I think early days we were probably like trying to do too much all at once, and we didn't know what was working and what wasn't. So now we are quite laser focused. So for example, recently we made a change to our onboarding flow, and the big North Star metric we're wanting to see was whether it was affecting our retention through onboarding. So we could really like make that change, and really thoroughly measure the impact it was having on that, but then also on matches that were available, or the daily, weekly, monthly active users, for example. So I think making one change and being able to directly like correlate the impact back to that is really important. And the same goes from a marketing perspective, being able to have a really adopt a clear and methodical and layered go to market, so that you again know what's working. Obviously, with starting a startup, it's almost like about just trying everything and seeing what sticks. But yeah, it's knowing that you've tried one thing. Is it working? Yes, let's double down on that. If not, let's disregard that. And I think the same goes when you go to monetize. Like have one, don't overcomplicate your product. Maybe have one feature that you're really trying to drive in on to focus on retention. Sprinkle just the right amount of friction on that, so that you can monetize it. And so yeah, I think that's a key learning that I've had, is that in just being a bit more, I guess, methodical in our approach. Sometimes when you're building a startup, everything like is just happening so quick that you don't have time to even pause. But I think just like taking that moment to be like, okay,
Yep.
almost thinking in sprints, like you would when you're building your MVP, for example. We do that with
Yep.
almost every aspect of the startup, so that we can be really focused and measure that direct impact to know what we're doing well and what we're not.
You can try too many things at once, and then you don't know which of those are working, which one are not. And then if you make too many changes to the one thing, you don't know which of those little items has made the difference to that specific change as well. So, like you said, yeah, having that little sprint planning up front and just assessing, all right, let's do one thing, get it out, and then assess, do we pivot, change, and then figure out what the change is. Because if you want to increase retention, say if you can increase it by, say, 5 or 10% by one change, or if you release a feature and you increase it by 10%, but you've done 6 different things in that feature, you're not going to know which one attributed that. So then you may be making the wrong decision when you do the next change, and you'll get rid of the thing that actually made the difference. So having that plan and that methodical approach definitely makes sense, and it's probably recommended for everyone to just slow down a little bit sometimes. Like you said, you are running at 100 miles an hour and you're doing a lot of things, so you do have to take time to make the decision. It's not all right, something happened, let's just pivot quickly.
100%.
Have you found sort of the two sides of the business? So there's the building the product and then trying to get the product market fit with your marketing, one or the other being a little bit more challenging or different. I know you've got the co-founder that's in the marketing side. Has that sort of made it easier in that bit, or is it still challenging to try and find that product market fit with the messaging?
Yeah, I mean, I think both elements have their challenges. Yeah, I'm fortunate to have Charlotte, who's had a lot of experience in marketing and PR world. And I think one of our sort of superpowers has been in the ability to get eyeballs on Humpday. So as I said earlier, we're very bold in our name, our concept, our marketing. We've done lots of very gritty tactics. If anyone's been on our Instagram, you'll see me holding a sign anywhere that's busy. So I think media have been really sort of captivated by all of that. So we've amassed, I guess, a lot of sort of print, online, and podcast coverage because of that. We're experimenting with socials, so we're TikTok and Instagram have been really powerful for us, and we're sort of creating this framework for mass creation and distribution across multiple channels. We're managing 6 or so TikTok channels at the moment, so we're really creating a framework there of how can we, and again, being really methodical in that. So how can we, see what works and what's transferring into downloads, and then what can we double down on from that. And then our events obviously has been another key driver. About 20% of our users find us through our events. So I think it's taken a lot of testing and learning. It's definitely been challenging, but by trying lots of tactics, we've found those 3 have been the most efficient for us, and so they're the ones that we plan to amplify. But to answer your question, I mean, I don't think it's like one's easier or the other. They both have their challenges, and we're not perfect at either of them at the moment. But I guess we're getting better each week.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone perfect at any of them anyway. It's just constantly trying and assessing, and little incremental improvements do take you a long way if you look back over time. So being able to find those unique, those avenues that are actually returning your results this early would be awesome for you as well, because then that's helping you with that growth, and then sort of double down in that direction because it's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where to with Humpday from here? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, so we have a big goal. Like our mission is we're more than a dating app. We want to be the number one dating brand. And really we're about this movement of changing dating in Australia and beyond. So as I said in the intro, our big mission is to end loneliness. We want to create a world where we really bring the fun back to being single, where people are, living more of their life out in the real world and less time behind a device. So at the moment we're live in Australia. Our focus at the moment is really scaling Melbourne and Sydney. And so that'll be our focus for the next 12 months. But beyond that, we want to take this internationally. So we're already seeing demand for in real life solutions in the US and beyond. So the plan is in FY26 to scale internationally through a city by city approach. And really, I guess, like, take all the learnings and the early traction that we're seeing here and take all that wonderful momentum into the overseas market. So we're really excited by that. But I guess for our community, we're hosting events roughly every fortnight in Melbourne at the moment. Over summer, we're planning some events in Sydney. So yeah, if you're single, if you have a friend that's single, feel free to check us out at Humpday app, and we'll be hosting some more events that will be promoted over there.
No, awesome. It's good. It's an ambitious plan, and I wish you all the best with that and getting out there. You've got the right foundations to build up to that, and you're not trying to do it too quickly either. So a lot of people can
Mm.
make the mistake of getting there too early, but not having the right foundations or support to actually make that. Not being able to actually deliver upon that growth that they're looking for.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, we're excited. It's been quite the journey, but we're definitely, yeah, far from over yet. So watch this space.
Awesome. So if anyone wants to reach out to find out more about Humpday, how can they do that?
So you can find us. We've got humpdaydating.com. You can download Humpday. If you just search Humpday on Google or Apple app stores, you'll find us there. And we're across all social media channels: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Our handles at Humpday app. And yeah, I'm very available on LinkedIn, and happy to chat to any up and coming founders. So you can find me on LinkedIn under Cara Zervides.
Awesome. All right. Well, once again, thank you, Cara, for joining me on an episode of the DevReady podcast. It's been a pleasure to chat to you and learn all about Humpday.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Anthony.
Thank you.